Photographing your car for sale is somewhat of a dark art, and car dealers have nailed it, or a lot of them have, but it seems to be that some of them get it very wrong and some of the public get it very wrong. I've been criticised for going online and criticising poor adverts, so what I'm going to do today is show you how to photograph your car well. I'm going to show you the different ways to make your car stand out online so you can make more money. Profit. Here we go. Right, so obviously the first thing you need to do when you're photographing a car is make sure it is perfectly clean. So I've picked one that has literally just been photographed out of the showroom, and we're going to go for a drive. But what you want to do, I think is really important, as much as photographing the car, is what you're photographing behind the car. So best bet is go out for a little bit of a recce and see if you can find somewhere that looks good. I think there are two obvious places to go for: somewhere with a clean backdrop, no other cars, and somewhere with a scenic backdrop. What we're going to do is we're going to do both. It looks like it's someone else's property, so always ask permission. Excuse me, mate. Am I all right just pulling in there and doing a couple of photos of this car, please? Ah, right, you've nothing to do with it.
For me, yes, but...
Get it, mate. I thought I'd ask before you pull in, so not a problem.
Yeah, thanks anyway.
It's cool, no worries. Have a good day, pal. Way up. It's called us back.
Shut them gates, you can do it in front of the gates if that's any good to you.
I appreciate it, mate. We're looking for the side of a building, though. It's something that we're trying to do, but no, I appreciate you helping. Thank you. Trying to help there. Now, unfortunately, I've picked a Saturday to do this, and retail parks are going to be fairly busy, but there's plenty of industrial stuff around here, and there's got to be something. There's also an argument as well when you're photographing a car that you like kind of like a grim industrial environment also can look quite cool. That's more sort of artistic, rather than clean. So let's have a quick look down some of the industrial pockets. There's a bit of a slope on the car park, isn't there? It's going to make the car look weird, that. I thought I found a spot there, but there's a bit of a slope and the car will look weird on the slope. Do you agree, Alex?
I agree.
Damn, I thought it was going to be really easy. I forgot how difficult it was. I mean, we've created an area in the showroom that we can photograph cars in now. Only I can get stuck behind a forklift going backwards. And I forgot just how much of a pain when I was trading from home before, trying to find a spot, and eventually found a spot at Rudding Park. And then someone spotted me photographing cars at Rudding Park and wanted me to pay him 20 quid every quarter. And I'm not sure if he had anything to do with Rudding Park. That's maybe better. Oh, they've all got slopes in, haven't they? We continue to hunt and something will appear. Potentially. There's a spot down there. Right, okay. This looks nice. There's a nice bit of hedgery. You can go between it there. That's actually a really good spot to take a photo. So what I'm trying to do here is sort of get the hedges either side of it, so it sort of creates a frame. So I always think the first photo that you do wants to be the draw that view in. Now it's difficult because of the hedge here, but what you need to do is get as far away from the car as possible. You photograph a car like this, and then photograph it like that. Look at the difference between that and how the car looks, and that and how the car looks. So a key little takeaway is get as far back from the car as possible. So what I'm going to do is blast out a few front shots here, spin it round, and yes, it's a pain, but I personally think find your spot that you want to photograph in and then use that spot and spin the car around in it. Now, before I do the photos, for me personally, I think with modern cars with the daytime running lights, it's always worthwhile having them on. I don't know why, it just feels like it's more compelling. If you've got a sunroof, have the sunroof open. If you've got fog lights, don't turn your fog lights on, you look like a chav. And get those on, I'm going to run through and just do a few shots of the front quarter, come back, zoom in, give it sort of a number 2, focus on the car, done. I'm going to do another one from here, another one from here, which I think is the money shot personally. Another one from here, get the focus back. I think it's a lot from the front. Now, what I tend to do as well, which is easily forgotten, is when you're photographing seats, when you're photographing anything in the back of the car, always photograph it when you've just photographed the front of the car. And there's a reason for that. Because your background's the same, isn't it? So rather than, if I take a photo of the dashboard now, I'm going to have a view of those beautiful McDowell's wagons, whereas I'll do that when it's facing the other way. But what I will do now is take a photo of the seats now. Get all the seats in. Now, if your seat bolsters are minty mint, which in this one it is, because it's only done 3,000 miles, always worth taking a photograph of it. I also don't put the wheels on full lock. A lot of people do. Don't know why, I just think it looks a little bit try-hard when it's on full lock. So yeah, here we go again, exactly the same. Bosh, 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 Bosh. So we've now got 4 on each front quartery bit. However, let's not forget, bosh. Now, while it's facing this way, if there's anything that you want to sort of capture that you think is going to be sexy, then now's your time to do it, innit? So I go maybe one of this rear haunch here, looks quite nice. Not a fan of that white line. I don't think we'll be able to edit it out, but I don't think it's, yeah, I'm not a fan of that white line. See if the other side's any better. You sort of want to find anything that stands out on the car that looks cool. Like that would be a good shot there. Bit of focus on it. Nice that. Professional. Taking a larger. I think that's kind of everything that I want to photograph on it. I think from the front, I'll probably do a couple of the headlights and I'll come out and zoom in and I'll try and duck because otherwise my head was going to be in that. I'll take a photo of the badge if you want to do. I just think it looks nice. And again, for me, if there's any sort of lines on the bonnet, like I quite like stuff like that, just looks nice and arty, doesn't it? Now I have just noticed a little spot of muck on this car, and it is muck, which hasn't been cleaned off properly. But let's just pretend that's a stone chip. There aren't any stone chips on this car, it's done 3,000 miles. However, I'm going to show you how to get rid of that in post-edit. Let's spin it around, do the other bits. Right, so another thing that people do when they're advertising their cars for sale is they'll hide the registration plate. Now I do it, so I don't want to say don't do it, but if I'm buying a car off a private customer and I'm looking, I want to be able to do my history checks on the car. So whenever you're photographing a car, make sure you do your registration, have it on show. The reason we don't do it in the showroom is because we have so many cars. It just looks messy on the website, but usually in the description there's a registration there for people to check anyway. That's important because when you're buying a car, you want to make sure you do your checks properly. So we use a company called Vehicle Score. What you essentially do is put your registration number into Vehicle Score. It'll tell you what the car is, has it got any outstanding finance, has it been in an accident, any sort of alerts that you need to know about, and it'll give it a score out of 1,000 or out of 999. Now this car is a bit of a weird one because the registration number was applied from brand new, so it's actually changing from that private plate onto its normal plate, and we're waiting for that through, and it's now in the transition process. So I can't actually show you it on this car yet, and nor can we sell it until we get the right reg through, which is why we decided to do this with this one today. But yeah, it's always worthwhile doing some form of check, and I'd always suggest a Vehicle Score. It's cheap, it's efficient, and it's really easy to use. There you go, Vehicle Score. Let's turn it round. She'll do the same again. What I am going to do, it's just people, isn't it? We'll remember that, we'll take that with us. We've done our bit. Okay, so back of the car. Now the sun's come out, which is really annoying, so I'm going to hope it buggers off so it matches. I used to literally sit and wait for the shadow to disappear in photograph cars. It's so frustrating. It's not like bright sun, so I think we'll be all right with this, to be fair. Here are the badges. Exhaust tips if you want them. Rear view camera, so get that photograph to its spec, and maybe with a bit of rear haunch there. Now we get the sexy interior shots. So I'm going to make sure your car is totally clean. I know it sounds ridiculous, but people will sit and analyse photos on a night and make sure that there's absolutely nothing wrong with the car. There's a bit of dirt on it. I know it sounds daft, but it just makes it look a little bit unloved. Into the cockpit. Heated seats. Yeah. Track mode. Yeah. Dials. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything we need from in there. Right, so final one, and actually a bit of sunlight will look nice on this rear quarter when I spin it and do it the other way. There's a lot of mucking about, but I promise it's worth it when you do it properly. Look at that, because it's pearl paint, that looks mega. I'm actually going to do the front of it again. In. Now, if it's low mileage or you want to show the mileage, it's always worth getting a picture of the dashboard on as well. Personally, photograph it running, and you can see there's no warning lights on it. And what I used to do as well, which was really, really picky, was I'd turn literally every light off. So I'd turn the headlights off, take the handbrake off, put the seatbelt on. You've literally got a totally clean dashboard. And the mileage sat at the bottom. There you go, under the bonnet, in the boot, job's a carrot. Now, we don't actually put under the bonnet photos on, and the reason for that is because we don't clean under the bonnets. And the reason for that, well, apparently this hasn't been cleaned. But the reason for that is because when you're looking to buy a car, having a dirty underneath the bonnet, I know doesn't look pretty, but it means that no one's hidden anything. So no one's been cleaning any leaks from the fluids or leaks from oil or whatever it might be. You can see that it's not been leaking. So we don't clean under the engine bays. We do before they go, but for viewings we don't. So therefore we don't photo under the engine bay. Now it might sound a bit bizarre, but it's worked for me so far. This, however, is particularly clean. Lovely. And across the top of the boot there as well, so you can see it's unmarked. Cracked it. I am going to, Good spot, innit? Yeah, it's not your first time, is it? No. No. You a car dealer? Yeah, same. Been looking for good spots. Okay, spin it around the front. Go again. Gonna hit it again, but I'm just gonna hit this side. I think we've made a point of what we're trying to do here. Oh yeah, well worth getting that in the sun with the pearl paint, wasn't it? Now, it is a bit of a golden rule that you don't photograph cars in the sun because they do show off absolutely every blemish. So that car dealer over there is obviously very confident in his stock, and I'll find out where he is actually so we can have a look at his website, but I bet it looks epic. That looks the business, doesn't it? To be fair, it looks the business in the sun. I'll do the other side. I actually think this side looks better without the sun. Mega, we've got everything that we need there. Just gonna find out what this guy's website is. What's your website called? Bingley Cars? There you are. Yeah, I'm Cubic Cars.
So checking, you guys got some nice cars.
We get some all right stuff in, mate, yeah, but we...
Work-wise?
All right, to be fair, no, a lot of people are whinging at the minute, but it's been okay, it's not... We've had it worse.
We've been quiet.
Have you?
I think the lower end, I do mostly high mileage, lower end stuff.
Right, okay.
And yeah, it's
just been a bit sorry to hear it, mate, yeah. We're not setting records at all, but we're paying the bills, and that's...
That's what is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Well, the past 2 months, it was all right before that, but I'm hoping in September it'll pick up now.
Yeah, quite. Everyone's back off holiday. Yeah. We did notice August, to be fair, it kind of went and just came off a little bit.
Your name is?
I'm Rob.
Rob, Janny.
Janny, nice to meet you, mate. This is Alex.
Alex.
Right, sound, have a good one. Right, the only other thing that I'd mention as well is wheels. And you've noticed that I've not photographed the wheels. These wheels are all perfect and fine. So it's probably worth photographing them. In fact, I actually will. Now, we don't at the dealership, and the reason for that is because if our cars have just been washed and just come in, then as a rule, they've got a little bit of surface rust on the brakes, which is fine and totally normal, but it can sometimes look like the brakes need doing. And we have had comments on it before, so now we just stop photographing wheels. They're all fine, they've all got good tyres on. And as a rule, it's not caused any problems for us, but these are mint, may as well photograph them. Let us find a beauty spot. Now, this is fairly fresh stock, is this car, so I don't really know a lot about it. I've never really had one of these in before. It's a GR86, obviously it's a Toyota, and they've got a 2.4 litre Boxster engine in. And for me, as a Subaru nut, I was like, that's quite exciting, but also they're just not, they're a weird engine. They sort of got a turbo surge in them. Anyway, as far as I'm aware, this isn't turbocharged. I'm sure someone will call me stupid in the comments, but listen to this, it absolutely howls. So I've got it in track mode, down a gear. It's not even that fast, but it feels quick because you sat on the floor, rear wheel drive, 6-speed manual gearbox, absolute screamer of an engine. What a great car. This is another road. Now, this was Nathan's road. This was a very good friend of mine. Still a very good friend, just don't speak to him very much anymore because we've all grown up. This was his road. He was untouchable on here. I forget the numbers that he used to pull up this road in his Saxo VTR that was on its absolute nipples. Yeah, he used to come around this corner, and you kind of look back now and think, yeah, he'd have come around that at 40, and game over. But roads were quieter back then, back in the day, so to avoid the horses and the carts. There are a few places to photograph on Baildon Moor, and I know that top car park is going to be fairly full because a lot of dog walkers go up there. I'm hoping we can find a spot where it's sort of pretty. I just got a feeling we're not going to be able to do. Look at that, perfect. Right, we've got away with it. We've actually got a nice little spot to photograph here. So, same theory as before. 1, 2, 3. Further back, 1. Actually a little bit better higher up because of the scenery in the background, but get some money shots. And we've already done the interior, so I just don't want to be parked like a prat. I'm actually going to go a little bit higher, just get a bit more of that background in. A little bit higher than normal. Now for me, I think that's probably the money shot. So I'll probably go up, try and get a nice one. I think that's going to be your main image. There we go. We've got scenic, we've got industrial. Now the most important part of photos is in the edit. So we get back to the office, get a coffee, because depending on when you're watching this, you might already have seen the fact that I started very early one morning to go and collect a rare artifact from a garden, didn't have a coffee. Well, this is straight after that and I still not had a coffee. So me, you, coffee, edit. Let's back to the office. Okay, so we're back, and this is the most important thing when you're doing your car photos. It's all in the edit for me. You can go too far with this, in my opinion, and I've been guilty of it in the past, and you make your cars look edited. But there is a way of doing it, editing a photo, without it looking edited, if that makes sense. Now, I am not in the market of trying to make a car look any different to how it normally looks, but what you want is a car to really stand out. So when you're scrolling through adverts, you go, ooh, even though it could be in exactly the same white GR86 next to it, yours looks better. Do you know what I mean? I've imported all of these photos from my mobile phone to my Mac, clever, and I'm now on Lightroom. Lightroom's a system that I use. There's loads of other systems available, but I just find it easier, and I can copy and paste edits across, or masks, or whatever you call it, across all of my photos. So here we go. This is Lightroom. It looks complicated, but it's not complicated. Let me just zero that back down because I was messing about with it. There are lots of different things you can do, but there's not a lot that you need to do, if that makes sense. First of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the exposure right in all of these photos. Remember when I said stand further back from the car than now standing towards it at the start? This is what happens when you stand close to a car, and when you stand back from it, that's what it looks like. Close, back, massive difference, and it's like the easiest thing to help improve your photos. So we're obviously not going to use that, so we'll start on this one. Right, so exposure settings. I don't want to blow out all the lines on this white car. I have picked a really difficult car to photo here because I'm stupid. So I'm going to pull the exposure up a little bit. I still want to see the lines on it. I can still just about see them, but I'm going to drop the highlights down a little bit, and that should pull them out a little bit more. And I'm going to pull the shadows out a touch so we can see a bit more of those wheels. Yeah. That, for me, looks about right. Now, although this car isn't colourful, what I am going to do is I'm going to pull the saturation or the vibrance up in the background, so at least the grass, I mean, you can go really strong with it, but I don't want to be too strong. Looks a bit punchier. Yeah, I like that. I'm happy with how that looks. Now, I am going to do something else. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mask the car. So if I go into this and select subject, it will automatically detect the car. Now, I don't want to alter it too much, but I do want to make it punchier, and I think the best way to do that is to increase the clarity of the car and the sharpness of it. So go into effects on here and go clarity, and this is where I think people go too far. It looks edited, but what I tend to do is go too far and then work my way back until something looks about right. Yeah, so if I go with that, and then I'm also going to zoom in, and you'll see there's a little bit of noise on this. Do you know what I mean? Because we're photographing it with an iPhone camera, which is still good and perfectly acceptable. I know a lot of car dealers do. I use the SLR at work. But what we're going to do as well is we're going to take a little bit of that noise out. So we're going to go noise reduction and just pull it out a little bit. Let's go too far and work backwards. And that should just soften the image just slightly. Yeah, that looks good. Cool, and then I can unclick mask. I'm happy with that photo. I'm obviously going to crop it in, but what I'd like to do is, first of all, let's just have a look before and after. Before on the left, after on the right. Yeah, I'm really pleased with that. Now, it's going to be a different edit for the interior and a different edit for when it was in the sun. So what I'm going to do is just copy and paste that across all of my photos for now. What I'm going to do now is get my crop right. So I'm going to crop it in, make the car the center of the photo. I'm happy with that. I think it needs to be turned in a little bit more. Perfect. And then I'm going to work across all of these and do exactly the same on all of them. The thing I like about Lightroom is it gives you this grid pattern, so you can sort of see where your car's sitting in the center of the photo, which I think is really important. And it just allows you to kind of get them all right as you're going through them. So I'll fire them out now. Right, so I am happy with all of those photos, I think. That's the front of the car done in the shade. We're now going to go into the interior. Now on the interior, I tend to go fairly spicy with it. Now I noticed on here there is a little mark, and we're going to touch that in. I spotted it when we were out filming, and you can see it probably better on the bolster here. It's like a tiny, tiny little mark, and that will dye back in. I know I'm going to do it, so I'm not doing anything naughty here. But what I am going to do is I'm going to hide it for the sake of the photos. And I know I'm going to get criticised for this, but if you're going to do it, hide it. If you're not, naughty. Let's just pull that over there, pull that over there, and that should just take your eye off it a little bit. Yeah, that's better. And then same on here as well. So this is basically a clone stamp. So what it's going to do is find somewhere similar on the bolster here to replicate the leather. That makes sense? So that looks good now. Okay, so for the interior shots, what I tend to do is I get the highlights right the way down. Well, that makes the door look a little bit creamy. I pull this exposure up a tad, but I go really, really strong with the sort of cut on it. So I'll make it as sharp and as detailed as possible. Texture clarity, yeah. I think it can handle it, an interior of a car. And what I also do as well is I will throw on a vignette, or whatever they're called, which will just focus you to the inside of the car a little bit. That looks good, although because I've messed about with it a bit too much, the inside of the door looks a little bit too creamy, so I'll just pull that there. Cool, copy and paste again. Okay, that is looking pretty good. That looks pretty rubbish though, to be fair, so I might actually have to pull the highlights back up on that because it does look pretty creamy, the inside of that door, doesn't it? This is a difficult car to photograph. Get the mask out again and have a go with a radial gradient. Put it on there. Just get a bit of a twist on it so you get a bit of an angle there. And what I can do is I can then pull the highlights back out the radial gradient. Punchier. We've got front of it done, inside of it done. I'm now going to work my way through the rest of these photos. There we go. We've got some nice punchy photos of that car now. Happy with the front of it. Same with the interior. So stuff like this annoys me. So here's a tiny, tiny bit of muck that's on the seat. It's like a crumb of some sort. I don't know what's happened there, but Alex was sat in that seat, so I can only blame him. But what I will do, because again, it's a crumb, but it just puts you off, doesn't it, when you're looking at it, is I'm going to get rid of it. There you go. Just looks neat and tidy now. Happy with that. That was the rear quarter that we didn't like the look of, and that was the one that we did like the look of. I just think that line's a bit distracting, so I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, so on this, just a nice picture of the rear haunch there, pull the highlights back, get that line back in, and then we're going to get the clarity right up again. I'm happy with that, so I'm just going to copy that setting, copy, and I'm going to paste it right the way across all of these. This where I was trying to get out of the shot, so that's me out of the shot, in the shot, out of the shot, in the shot. It's so much better when you don't get a reflection of yourself in a picture. So I'm going to sack that off as well. Get rid of you, and I think we need a little bit more exposure on that shot. Got some nice pictures on here. Now, that's another bit of muck that can go. Unfortunately, when you drive into a spot to photograph your cars, there's not a lot you can do about picking up little bits of debris on the way, but this is what I was talking about, that which looks like a stone chip, and it isn't, it's just a bit of red muck, and we'll get rid of it, and we'll also get rid of what was ever on the edge of that bonnet there. Cheeky, I know, however, we're trying to sell a car here, and it wants to look right. Exposure up again on that one, I think, up on that one. Beautiful. Oh, this when the sun came out. I think I prefer it in the sun. Happy with that. A copy and paste. Really, really happy with those photos, actually. A few more detailed shots here. Oh, look at the pearl in the paint. That was lucky. I wasn't trying to do that. So I don't want to go too high on the exposure here, do I? Lovely. Again, there's a little bit of dirt that's been picked up there, so you'll notice the pattern forming here. Rid of that. Ooh, that looks really good. Exhaust looks fairly good. I'll probably pull the shadows right down on that, actually. Just give a little bit more contrast on the exhaust tip. Yeah, beautiful. That, unfortunately, we've got quite a bit of sort of debris around there, so I'll try and do what I can with it, but I do feel like that, unfortunately, it's going to look a bugger's muddle even when I finish with it. Even though that will just wipe off because we picked it up literally on the way over. It's just distracting, isn't it, and off-putting. Oh, that's passable. Get it really bright in the exposure, it'll hide a bit of that as well. That was quite a nice shot. I liked this one with the haunch. Nice. And then same with the interior photos again. Loads of clarity, pull the highlights down. Now, if a car's got sat-nav or it's got cruise control, if it's got anything like that, you want to photograph absolutely everything that you can on the car. Now, this has got those bits for the purpose of not making a video that's going to be 40 minutes long. Anything that it's got spec-wise, photograph it and put it on there. There's no two ways about it. It is a very, very time-consuming process. However, I stand by when you're selling your car, you've just got to get the images right. You've got to make someone look at it and go, I really, really want that car on my drive. I want to be walking up to that car and opening the door with my key. And anything you can do that's going to aid you in that process is surely only a good thing. Yeah, safe to say, a bit of editing goes a long way on photographs, doesn't it? Really happy with how these are turning out. I said I'd do the wheels, so I'll do the wheels. Let's just bang the clarity up on all of them. We'll bang the shadows up slightly. We'll get a little bit more highlight in there so you can see the brake disc better. And then I'm just going to copy and paste it across all of them. So there we have it. There are all the photos done of the outside of the car and the inside of the car in that kind of more clean environment, no distractions behind it, just nice and easy on the eye. I actually prefer it in the sunlight. Do you prefer it in the sunlight or not in the sunlight? For me, with it being a pearl paint, I think actually in the sunlight works for that. It shows the lines of the car off really well. I know this seems like really finicky and picky and all that sort of stuff, but when you're online looking at a car, you know, if we go onto Auto Trader now and have a look at what is available, and look at what stands out there. Now, funnily enough, you've got ours. This is how we photograph them in the showroom. Redline Racing always do a fantastic job. They've got an amazing photo booth in there, and you can see how they've done the clarity on that photo as well. Beautifully done. Then if you look, that again, that stands out quite nice, doesn't it? Not sure about that in the background for me, but I'm being overly fussy. I'm sure it'll sell well. But when you look at what else is for sale, that's a really bad photo. That's sort of clearly an AI photo and not a correct background. That's nice. That's nice. Everyone's doing this, trying to make the car stand out as best you possibly can. He is stood way too close to the car. Hopefully this is going to make this car really stand out. Now, the other option is to go for the scenic background, which we've gone for here. And I'm not sure whether or not this works, but this car is kind of like a country B-road slayer, the sort of thing that you'll take out on a Sunday and have a bit of fun with. I don't know, I think maybe a country road type background works for this, and you can make this really pop with the colour. Pull the exposure right up and then back down on the highlights. Nice, you've got a few golfers in the background there, but there's not a great deal I can do about that without editing them out of every single shot, so I won't bother. That looks good, actually, to be fair. Shadows up ever so slightly, and let's get the masking on this car and let's see what it's going to look like in country. I was right about taking the photo up from slightly above. I think that looks super cool. Really, really nice is that. Now the thing is, you can use both. There's no sort of right or wrong way about doing this. For me personally, I used to like a country background in a photograph. I used to think it feels more real, raw, tangible, and you can sort of place yourself in the car. Do you know what I mean? It sort of feels like you own it and you could be on that country road drive. However, as I've aged a little bit, I find it a little bit forced. I think it's probably a good word for it. And I think the other problem that you've got with these as well is as the scenery changes, which it will do as you come into winter, etc., if you've had your car listed for a while, which does happen from time to time, we have cars in for a while, are you back out again? Because like, for example, all of these trees in the background of this image here, they're all within the next sort of few weeks, sadly, going to start dropping leaves and going autumnal. And all of a sudden, if you're into the depths of winter and this car's photographed in summer, people know you've had it for sale for a while and people know that you might be struggling to sell it. And that just sets you off on the back foot, unfortunately. That's the money shot for me, I think, today. Love it. So there we have it. We've photographed every possible way we can photograph a car. For me, I think you know where I stand. I think actually this car looks best with a little bit of sunlight on it, in that position there, with a nice clean background. That for me, I think it suits the car better. But at the same time, I also think that the country images that we've done on there also work really well. So the question really is, which one do you prefer? It'd be interesting to know. And has this been of any use for you at all? And as a little treat for you, this is a photo that we took when we were back in the unit. In one of those days today. Out of interest, what I am going to do as well, before we go, is we're going to have a quick look at this Bingley garage and just this chap that I met in this car park. Right, so that's where he was photographing before, that's his old unit. And these are the ones where we were photographing cars today. So much better. That is a man who knows how to photograph a car. Good on you, sir. He knows, I know, now you know how important photographing a car is, and I really hope genuinely that that's going to help if you are selling your car and you get a bit of a better idea as to what you're doing and crucially how to edit it properly and see whether or not you get more money for your car, sell it quicker, whatever it might be. I hope that's been educational and fun. Back to the stupid stuff. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.